In the grand and often terrifying world of Greek mythology, there's a place whose name was spoken only in hushed whispers. This wasn't just a realm for the dead, like the shadowy lands of Hades. No, this was something deeper, older, and infinitely more horrifying. It was a place that struck fear, not just into the hearts of mortals, but into the very souls of the immortal gods themselves. This is Shadows and Gods, where we descend into the darkest corners of myth to uncover the powers, punishments, and secrets even the gods feared to face. A place of absolute, suffocating darkness with no return, no reprieve, and no escape. We are descending into the living prison, the primordial deity, the ultimate abyss, Tartarus. So what made this place so uniquely dreadful? What horrors were locked behind its bronze gates that made even the mighty Zeus, king of the gods, tremble? To get it, you first have to understand that Tartarus wasn't just a place, it was a god. Long before Zeus and the Olympians, before humanity was even a thought, there were the protogenoi, the firstborn gods. These weren't beings of flesh and blood. They were the universe itself. Out of the swirling void of chaos, a handful of entities emerged. First, there was Gaia, the earth. And as the ancient poet Hesiod tells us in his Theogony, right after her came Tartarus, the abyss. He was one of the first and most powerful beings in creation. He wasn't simply a place, he was a conscious, primordial force, the personification of the deepest, darkest pit imaginable. His very essence was darkness and punishment. And in a monstrous union with his sister Gaia, Tartarus fathered a creature that would become the single greatest threat the Olympians ever faced. The horrifying, 100-headed dragon Typhon. That alone tells you everything about the nature of this entity. Tartarus didn't just contain monsters, he created them. He was a force of cosmic terror. And his physical form, the abyss itself, was designed to be the most secure prison in all of existence. To truly grasp the horror of Tartarus, you have to understand its scale. The ancient Greeks saw the cosmos in layers. You had the sky, the earth, and then the underworld. But Tartarus was below all of that. Hesiod gives us a chilling image. An anvil dropped from earth would fall for 9 full days and nights before finally reaching the bottom of Tartarus. It was as far beneath the earth was beneath the heavens, a place of impossible mind-bending depth. Its entrance lay in the gloomiest corner of the underworld, past the river Styx and the aimless shades of mortals. The abyss was a vast, cavernous dome, shrouded in a misty gloom, so total that 3 layers of night were said to surround it. A great wall of unyielding bronze, forged by the Cyclopes, encircled it, and a fiery river, the Phlegethon, served as a boiling molten moat. This wasn't a jail. It was a fortress built to hold threats that could unravel creation. It was the complete opposite of Elysium, the paradise for heroes. While Elysium was eternal light and peace, Tartarus was eternal darkness and torment. The first beings ever cast into Tartarus weren't mortal sinners, they were gods. They were the children of Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky. Uranus, the first king of the cosmos, was also its first tyrant. He looked at some of his own children with fear and disgust. There were the Cyclopes, one-eyed giants and master smiths, and the Hecaton shares, monsters of terrifying strength, each with 100 hands and 50 heads. Fearing their power, Uranus seized his own children and hurled them into the blackness of Tartarus. This was the first great cosmic injustice, a father imprisoning his sons to protect his throne. So, in its first role, Tartarus was a political prison for divine rivals. The imprisonment of her children caused Gaia immense pain, and her rage set in motion a chain of events that would change everything. She forged a sickle and convinced her other children, the Titans, to rise up. It was Cronus, the most ambitious Titan, who took the sickle, overthrew his father, and became the new king of the universe. But the cycle of paranoia was destined to repeat. Cronus was just as fearful of his own children, swallowing each one as they were born, until his wife Rhea hid their youngest son Zeus. Once grown, Zeus tricked Cronus into disgorging his siblings, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Hestia, and Demeter. This sparked the greatest war in Greek mythology, the Titanomachy, a 10-year battle between the new Olympian gods and the ruling Titans. For a decade, the war was a stalemate. It was then that Gaia advised Zeus that victory could only be won with the help of those imprisoned in Tartarus. Zeus descended into the abyss and freed the Cyclopes and the Hecaton chairs. Grateful, they pledged their loyalty. The Cyclopes forged the gods' most iconic weapons, the thunderbolt for Zeus, the trident for Poseidon, and the helm of darkness for Hades. The Hecaton chairs, with their 100 arms, launched volleys of massive boulders that overwhelmed the Titan armies. The Olympians were victorious. For their rebellion, the male Titans, who fought against Zeus, including their leader Cronus, were bound and cast down into the bottomless gloom of Tartarus. In a perfect twist of irony, Zeus appointed the Hecatoncheires, the former prisoners, as its new eternal guards. While most male Titans were imprisoned, many of their female counterparts were spared. Now, a few rare later myths say Zeus eventually showed mercy and released Cronus to rule the paradise of Elysium. But in the main classic telling, his fate in the pit was sealed. The fall of the Titans cemented Tartarus as the ultimate divine prison, the final stop for any being foolish enough to challenge Olympus. And there were challengers. The most terrifying was Typhon, the monstrous son of Gaia and Tartarus himself. Enraged by the imprisonment of the Titans, Gaia unleashed Typhon as her final weapon. He was a dragon of immense size with 100 heads that scraped the sky, each speaking with a different horrifying voice. The battle between Zeus and Typhon was a cataclysm that nearly unmade the world. But in the end, Zeus, with the full power of his thunderbolts, struck the monster down and hurled his burning body back into the abyss from which he came, imprisoning him within his own father, Tartarus. Other gods and giants also tried to defy the Olympians. The twin giants, Otus and Ephialtes, boasted they would pile mountains on top of each other to storm the heavens and kidnap the goddesses Hera and Artemis. For their hubris, they were slain by Apollo and cast into Tartarus, where they were bound back to back to a column with snakes for eternity. Even minor deities weren't safe. Lesser-known myths tell of Arc, the sister of the messenger goddess Iris, who chose to side with the Titans. After the war, she was stripped of her wings and thrown into the abyss, a lesson that loyalty to the losing side came with an eternal price. For a long time, Tartarus was a prison for gods and cosmic threats. But as humanity spread, its purpose evolved. It became the destination for mortals who committed sins so terrible they offended the gods directly. Their punishments were masterpieces of psychological torment, designed to perfectly mirror their crimes. Perhaps the most famous sinner is Tantalus, a king once so favored he dined on Olympus. His great sin? Arrogance, in its deadliest form. In the most famous telling of his story, he tested the gods' omniscience by murdering his son Pelops and serving him in a stew. For this he was condemned to an eternity of temptation. He stands in a pool of water, but whenever he bends to drink, the water recedes. Fruit-laden branches hang above him, but whenever he reaches to eat, the wind blows them away. He's doomed to an eternity of hunger and thirst, with relief forever in sight, but always out of grasp. Then there's Sisyphus, the clever king who cheated death twice. First, he tricked and chained up Thanatos, death itself. For his defiance, Zeus condemned him to an absurd eternity. Sisyphus must roll a massive boulder up a steep hill. Every single time he nears the top, the boulder slips and rolls all the way back down, forcing him to start his pointless task all over again, forever. Another resident is Ixion, a king who, after being pardoned by Zeus for murder, lusted after Zeus's wife Hera. To test him, Zeus created a cloud in Hera's shape, which Ixion assaulted. His punishment was to be bound to a great fiery wheel that spins for all eternity through the depths of Tartarus, and the list goes on. The Danaids, the 50 daughters of Danaus, were punished for murdering their husbands by being forced to fill a bath with leaky jars. Each punishment reflects the Greek concept of divine justice, precise, personal, and eternal. A prison is only as good as its guards, and the sentinels of Tartarus were terrifying. The main jailers were the hecaton chairs, the 100-handed giants. Once prisoners themselves, their loyalty to Zeus was absolute, but later myths, like those from Apollodorus, tell us that before them, the original jailer under Cronus was a monster named Campa. She was a nightmarish she-dragon with the body of a woman, a scorpion's tail, and snakes for hair. Zeus had to slay her himself to free his future allies. The prison's defenses were just as formidable. The great bronze walls were impossibly thick, and the gates were impenetrable. Encircling it all was the fiery river Phlegethon. Tartarus was a sealed tomb. The fear on Olympus wasn't just of the prisoners inside, but of the remote possibility that the prison itself could ever fail. The concept of a bottomless pit of eternal punishment didn't end with the Greeks. The image of Tartarus was so powerful it echoed through the centuries, shaping our modern ideas of hell. Its influence is clear in Dante Alighieri's Inferno, where hell is a great pit of descending circles. The name itself was even adopted by other beliefs. In the New Testament, the author of 2 Peter 2:4 uses the Greek verb tartaru, to cast into Tartarus, to describe the fate of fallen angels. The early Christian writers speaking to a Greek world found the perfect word to describe a place of divine punishment for celestial beings. This ancient abyss continues to haunt pop culture. Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series brought Tartarus to a new generation, depicting it as a sentient, malevolent being. The name has become the go-to label for the ultimate hellish dungeon in video games, from God of War to the Persona series. Tartarus has become a universal symbol for the ultimate prison, for absolute retribution, for a darkness so profound it remains. In our collective imagination, the prison even gods fear. Tartarus was far more than just a pit. It was a primordial deity, born from the same void as the earth itself. It was a cosmic weapon, used by gods to secure their power. It was a dungeon for titans and monsters who could challenge the universe. And finally, it became a court of eternal justice, where the worst mortal sinners faced punishments as poetic as they were horrifying. The fear of Tartarus was a constant, terrifying reminder that actions have consequences. No one, not mortals, not heroes, not even gods, was entirely safe from its reach. It represents the idea that for every act of hubris, there is a reckoning. Tartarus is the ultimate darkness against which all light is measured, a symbol of a justice that is absolute, inescapable, and eternal.